Good evening and welcome to Arsenal of all episode 123. Arsenal sneaking a 2-1 win right at the death against Wolves. I mean, I don't know what the hell that was, but I've got Brian Haley here to have a quick chat about it with me. Brian, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, Mike. Let's just say I switched off at the equaliser, switched back on when we scored the winner. So yeah, I think that tells the story.
Yeah, absolutely. Crazy ending. And after what was a sloppy, turgid first half, I mean, I don't know what he said to them. How they came out was just totally the opposite of what I thought it was going to be. You know, on the front foot, moving the ball really quickly, and we just got into this routine of sideways passes again. Odegaard weren't even there this time. It still was sideways, trying to create a yard of space for Saka on the right hand side, and just totally forgetting everything on the left hand side, believing Martinelli there on his own. Let's get into the lineup, right? Because obviously that's always a big talking point in terms of who came out and everything. He went with a midfield three of Rice, Zubimendi, and Eze. Rice didn't look right to me. He looked like he was still sort of struggling or just coming back off that illness that he had. He wasn't at race at all. But what did you think about the lineup? Was you happy with it? I would have went with Madueke after what he did midweek, just so you have that energy and that bounce and you can carry on. But what was your thoughts on just the lineup and that first half, man? It was just so poor.
Well, I think with the lineup, I wasn't too disappointed with the lineup. It was good to see Saliba back, and I think even with the Timber situation at left back, I just felt that kind of with the aspects of kind of transition, I think was probably the right thing to do, because we knew, look, at the end of the day, we knew how Wolves were effectively going to set up in that sense. So I was kind of at the very beginning, I was actually quite pleased. But as you quite rightly said, Mike, when you watched the first half, it was kind of like had reverted to type of the last couple of seasons.
Yeah.
And the way that we played against teams who are going to come up, play kind of, five in midfield, low block, we kind of reverted to type. It was like, these are the kind of games where you've got to find a way. And it's not like we haven't done that this season in some respects, but for some unknown reason, it's kind of the complex of against the bottom side and set up in a particular way kind of got into the player's mindset for some unknown reason. I just don't know what it was. But in a strange also way, though, I didn't feel that we would lose the game either. I thought we'd come out and win the game, which we eventually did, but we did it the hard way. But we didn't stamp an authority in a game like we should have done tonight. And that was the issue, I think, big time.
Yeah, it was just really strange, obviously coming off the win midweek against Club Rouge, and a few of the players obviously were arrested. Obviously Timber, Rice, obviously with his illness as well. Eze didn't come on midweek as well. Like, he started today, and yeah, it was just it was like we know that the low block issue is, that's been an issue for Arsenal for the last two seasons, right? When these teams come and do it, and we still didn't seem to have a way around it, a way to sort of pick the lock. And even Eze was playing more centrally first half, then he moved over to the right hand side a little bit. It was just like, are we really in this spot again? Are we really talking about this situation? And then obviously the only way around it is we're giving the ball to Saka every time we can, we can. And it's just so predictable yet again, it's just so frustrating, and you just wonder what on earth have we been doing over the summer and working on this, because this is something that we're supposed to a fix, right? You know, someone like Eze, and obviously your players as well. Again, hardly got a kick, hardly got a touch. You know, real question marks about what's happening. Is it system wise? Does he have to adjust to it? Do we have to adjust to him? Can we afford to do that? Yeah, it's just you raise a lot of questions at this performance tonight. But then at the same time, I think, is this what happens in the title race where you have games like this where you just stick out and you just get a win, 2 own goals tonight? You know, how many times we've been fortunate to watch Arsenal in the past, you know, the Invincible season. You know, people seem to think every game was magical football and goal. I mean, there were some games where we absolutely stank, man, and you know, draw. Obviously, we've got 12 draws that season. There's times when we stank and we got a win. There's times when we sort of just were awful and we got out of there with a draw. And is that what, you know, we have to sort of realise that, you know, these guys are playing every 3 days. You know, we're going to get games like this. And the fact that it was against a team that were bottom with 2 points and everyone was thinking, oh, we better score 5 today, we better score 4. Is that why it makes it a little bit more like disappointing and frustrating that we couldn't get out of like first gear?
I think so. I think what we've got to realise is, as you quite rightly said, Mike, is, you know, we're playing every 3 days at this moment. And wherever they are at this moment, you know, as in Wolves, you know, they are bottom, but they're only playing. They're playing every week effectively at the moment. They're not, you know, they haven't got the schedule that we have. So a game like today, they you know, if they didn't have an energy level in a game like this today against, you know, against us who plays every 3 days, I'm not too sure what people are generally kind of expecting. I think, you know, the expectations were we're going to go hit 5. I didn't necessarily think that today.
Yeah.
But I didn't think we would. I didn't think we would play the way that we did today. And you're right. I think when it comes down to it, you know, if it was a Manchester United of old or a recent Man City getting that result, you know, everybody will be kind of, you know, that's what champions do.
Yeah.
That's what champions do. But because we haven't been champions for 20-something years, we are still going to be looked at with games like this. Is that the scrutiny will be out. We'll be scrutinised. We'll be scrutinised for it because, as I said, you know, if it was if it was a United of the, you know, of old, or a City of old, you know, people would have said, you know, that's what champions do. They find a way of winning matches. But for us, it's kind of, people will look at it and we'll get scrutinised for the way how it is. But look, as fans, we've got to look at it and think that at the end of the day, it is now 3 points, and we've restored a 5-point lead.
Yeah.
We've got a week off.
Yeah.
Or at least, well, I say a week off. It's kind of, he's going to have to give him at least 3 days off. Get back in on Wednesday for the Everton game, because I think I need the players need it. I think it showed that there are players that needed that need this week coming up. You know, Zubamendi coming off is probably a good thing. Gives him a nice 3-day rest as well. You know, and get themselves, I think, more focused for the Everton game, because I think, you know, we all know that that's going to be one that we've got to get some level of some sort of result out of.
Yeah. 100%. We need to. I would have said a draw, get out there with a draw, but I think we need to win. We need to win that game. We need to win that game. I know we've not got great record up there recently, especially under Arteta, but yeah, we need to win that game. And Saka made reference to that. You know, we've got like a week to prepare for that. It's another 8 o'clock kickoff. Obviously, it's the last game, last league game for them before Christmas. Obviously, the new stadium and everything. So they're going to be loud and everything, and we just need to stand up to it. But yeah, the performance tonight, first half was, you know, you can say what you want about, you know, Wolves coming and setting up, but it's just like, you know, I think as Mac has said in the chat, you see all the possession we had, but no one wanted to shoot unless they could walk the ball to the net. So predictable, yeah. You know, we play, like I said before, we play more risky passes across our own back line than we do in the final third. In the opposition's final third, because it's like nobody wants to lose possession. Nobody wants to, you know, kind of get get it in the neck sort of thing, in a transition and get it from the neck from Arteta, and before you know it, you get dragged off like Eze did when Castro. Max said, when the opposition score all 3 goals, the team has to use this week to have some difficult discussions. Haven't always been tricky or predictable feature for us. Yeah, absolutely. So that's the kind of thing. You're right. It's good that we've got this break in a sense now, or this week to prepare for it, because yeah, man, that wasn't good tonight. But like I said, like we were saying earlier, it's you're going to get that. You're going to get those performances. You're going to get those performances, I think. But you look at the back of the Villa one, and then obviously the other league ones before. There's Chelsea and Sunderland. It's been been a little bit of a pattern. So yeah, man, it's interesting. But let's have a quick look at the table. Let me just bring that up, just see where we are. Obviously, got that 5 points lead again. Obviously, City go to Palace tomorrow, don't they? So that's going to be interesting to see what they do there, and let's hope that Palace can, obviously they're European, they're game in Europe, didn't they? In Shelbourne, so let's hope they haven't had too much Guinness on the way back. And, let's hope that they're all right. But yeah, you're looking at someone like the usual suspect. Saka was, to be fair, he didn't kind of shy away from it, really, did he? He didn't shy away from the responsibility. He was trying to make things work. Wasn't top quality, but obviously he kind of got involved in both of the goals, really, with his deliveries. And obviously Trossard as well. I think Trossard came on again and he looked really sharp as well. So we're kind of thankful that those two are kind of gonna, still doing bits and pieces for us. Like I said, there's hopefully Big Gabby returns. Our biggest problem is defending. He is the defensive Johnny at the moment. Yeah. And it feels like no one knows where. Yeah, because we're not keeping clean sheets as well in the league. We're not. I mean, we did against Brentford, but it's not looking as tight and secure. Even tonight, there was that block that Nkapia did in the first half, and then there was in the second half when they had that little 5-minute spell, we just unravelled a little bit. It was just this last ditch stuff, which was surprising.
Yeah, you know what, Mike? I think what we've got to take into consideration is that Nkapia hasn't been poor. I think it's possibly people around him that have actually probably been poor. If we look at what the kind of, particularly the last 10, 15 minutes of the second half, when you could see the goal was coming.
Yeah,
that wasn't going to be Nkapia's problem. That was a team issue where we sat back, we didn't press, we allowed the pressure onto us. And what does that generally do? It puts pressure on our back four, and then an opening comes up. Okay, by not doing the basics of the general press.
Yeah.
And that was where we cannot. Yes, we're not keeping clean sheets, and yes, Big Gabby would be, him and Saliba basically. Yes, we know what we get from them, but Nkapia basically hasn't done bad for us. He hasn't done bad for us. I think there's been players around him that effectively has made us look not that great in our back four. So, look, I think we've just got to let, in some respects, we kind of have to let this one go.
Yeah.
As I said, we've got 7 days to kind of work on what to do for Everton. I think Arteta's got to start showing a little bit of unpredictability. I think, putting, I know you could possibly put Madueke on the left, be a bit more direct to a fullback, because as much as Martinelli is doing what he's doing, he's coming inside and still at times not that right option. For me, I think we've got to show a little bit of unpredictability to teams now, because if we revert back to type, people are going to start to pick us off, and that may be a big problem moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think he's what else do you think he's learned, and how do you think he's feeling tonight? Obviously delighted, obviously got the win, but what do you think he's learned from tonight, from what he's seen out there?
What could he have learned from tonight? Um,
Resilience still, kind of to keep going, maybe.
I think, I think it's probably just the result of just, getting the 3 points in the end.
Yeah,
That's all he can effectively take from tonight. I don't. We could probably analyze variations of different performances tonight, but I think what we saw was a performance was that, as I said, it reverted to type of a couple of seasons ago, and it probably shows is that we've got enough depth in a squad that we don't have to play that way.
yeah,
We can do things differently, and I suppose he won't turn around and say that's why we've got finishers. That's why the likes of Trossard coming in and changing things. You know, Jesus coming in, making an impression.
yeah,
Um, so that's probably what he will find solace out of tonight in that sense. But I think he'd want to put this game to bed very, very quickly, draw a line under it, and get ready for Everton.
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it was the only obviously blemish on the night was Ben White getting his injury. Seems like it's back again. An Arsenal game he's played, and someone goes off in the first half with an injury, and he looked like him and Saka were linking pretty well over there, and it was his sort of overlaps, underlaps that were getting in behind them, and was the way through. But obviously, then when he went off, it kind of changed, didn't it? Because I didn't think Timber did particularly well in that regard. So some of his finals weren't that great as well. And Max is saying Hincapié is a great player, but he needs to understand how to defend aggressively, not wait for the ball to come. It's an educational job, and he's been thrown in it deep. And yeah, he has. And I think as well, because you have, I think if you have one of those guys, Mosquera or Hincapié, alongside Saliba or Gabriel, it's different, right? Because you've got one of the old sort of helping you through. But then when it's them two on their own, or with somebody else, as it has been with Timber and what have you, it's not the same. And yeah, I think he would look a hell of a lot better with one of those two alongside him. But it is what it is. It's circumstances, how things are running at the moment, man. See how you doing, Steve? I said I think the control thing is we don't run out of gas towards the end of the season, but sometimes we just need to go for it. Yeah, I think that's probably what he. It's easy to say, obviously, just go for it and just try and and try go out and win the game. But I just think again there was a hell of a lot of element of just controlling the game a lot against Wolves at home. In a game where you're playing before City, and let's say throw Villa into the pot, because obviously there's a chance for you to do something and put it all on them in the first half, and then in the second half you can maybe kind of take it easy, and then maybe take a couple of players off a little bit easy. But it was a reverse. We had to throw players on with scrambling and people running through brick walls to try and get a result, and then that puts stress on them, load or whatever. So that's it. Yeah, really disappointing way we went out tonight in that first half. Just really sort of, what were we doing? We weren't connecting in the final third. Just looked so disjointed. And just what's your, just finally, just on your career, I've got real concern about him. There was he had an effort late on, and then he had the moment where he battled and he won the ball, and then he just ran and he just gave the ball away. I mean, are you concerned about the system, him adjusting to the system, us adjusting to him, or do you just think it's just going to be a matter of time? We've been here before. We've been here with other players who've taken 6 or so months to adjust and to become a part, a strong part of the team. Is it that, or do you think it's something deeper?
Some people will look at it as something deeper, but you've got to think that it's also he's kind of had an interrupted season when you think of it, because he joined us kind of late pre-season wise. He's come in, done a little bit of a job, still looked a little bit rusty, then got injured, and now coming back. So his rhythm completely is probably off kilter at this moment, and that's possibly where the reluctancy, in some respects, upon how we are playing with him. You know, I think there was points in the Bruges game, for argument's sake, with Odegaard not playing the pass when he could have played the pass.
Yeah,
And he's running off a shoulder.
yeah,
You know, so there, I think there's he needs he needs a consistency of staying fit. That's a starter point. The continued run of games, but we've also got to think that we have got very good wide players. Okay, that one who will thrive within a 6-yard box, but we've also got players that can basically play a pass when he's on the shoulder,
yeah,
and we're not doing enough of that.
yeah.
We're not doing enough of that to see the differences. Because to be fair to him, you looked at his hold up play and what he does. You know, he's like a battering ram up there. You know, he's winning free kicks. He's holding things up, and when he does hold it up, he's relatively neat and tidy.
Yeah.
You know, so to me, we're using Gyökeres in probably the wrong ways. We don't want him holding the ball up in kind of in and around the centre circle. We want them further up the park, that he can roll off shoulders. He can hold things up. That centre forward, which you know he can do kind of a lot of different things. That he can be a focal point to us, rather than he's just having a centre forward for a centre forward's sake.
Yeah, yeah. It's just kind of worrying now, because he just seems to. It's almost like certain instances we seem to be kind of playing with 10 men in a certain extent, and you know, you see him and he's occupying the centre backs, but you just kind of a little bit concerned that when the ball does go to him, he's not even getting chances. You know, so if he was missing chances, then you could kind of say, okay, then we can have a conversation. But he's not even getting chances. The half chance he had, you know, which he dragged wide. He didn't have anything on Wednesday when he played, I don't think, as well. So it's just a bit of a worry. Steve reckons he'd be fine. Come through a better player. Let's hope so.
Yeah, but look, I think, Mike, you know what? It is up to the players. Sometimes the players around him. You know,
yeah,
he is there as a focal point. You know, when we look at Jesus, you know, people would always say, "Oh, you know, Jesus number 9." You know, he's not an actual number 9 as such.
no,
You know, he drifts out. You know, and leaves holes which you'd expect our midfielders to run into, which they don't. Our centralised midfield, other than Declan Rice at times, don't run into those holes, which is basically being left by a centre forward. You know, so we've got a centre forward that is there, but we're not necessarily playing to those particular types of strengths. If you get the ball into his feet and he's holding it up and bringing people in, there's your confidence there around you, what he's going to be doing, because he's just going to spin and go, you know, and look for the final ball in and around the 6-yard box, like a traditional number 9 does. But we're not doing that. So that leaves him, as you said, he just kind of in times he's just occupying centre half for the sake of it.
Yeah. I think it's probably because we're so used to not having a number 9.
Yeah, and that's it.
So used to having someone who plays up there who comes and joins in and links up play and everything like that. And you know, like Jesus, you know, everybody was going crazy saying, "Oh, you know, look at Jesus, you know, how great he looks." You know, so yeah, it's getting used. I mean, I think it's the fan base as well getting used to having a proper centre forward again. But you kind of would have thought that, you know, December now, you know, we're coming into, you know, a while of having him. And it still looks like it's almost like that whole adjustment period is like started again. It's like when he's come back from his injury, it's almost like it started you know, from the first game of the season or the first pre-season game, you know, the way that they're not finding. I mean, I can only remember one instance where Eze played a ball quite quickly to try and find it. It was cut out, but then someone picked it up, and then we built an attack of it. So there was that aspect, and then there was a bit where Odegaard had that shot which hit the side netting, which was unlike him, because if he had slotted it across, then Gyökeres had a tap in. So there are instances where people are making the wrong choices when they're in shooting positions. Saka's done it a few times. You know, so it seems like only Trossard and Eze are the ones that are trying to find him, really. And the other two, for some reason, aren't trying to find him, or trying to take, you know, chances when they shouldn't, which is strange. Steve saying most of the team haven't really played the natural line up front. Havertz, Marino, Trossard, all have something different, but none of the lines. The number of them are genuine proper centre forwards. Gyökeres is actually absolutely different. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'm pretty much sure that he will go with him and Everton, because Everton will probably try and come out on the front foot a little bit. And then he's got Tarkowski, who I'm sure will enjoy having making it a WWE sort of game or UFC game with him. What he's been up to the last couple of weeks as well, and what he's like as a player. So that's if he keeps him occupied, then obviously that should make open the door for somebody else. So I'm interested to see next week.
And I think the thing is, like, you know what? If that's where a game, in some respects, where you'd like an Eze to probably play and have a bit more involvement, because they're gonna play, you know, with two centre halves. You know, Wolves played with three today. They're going to play with two centre halves, Everton. So what you want basically with Gyökeres to be there is to kind of have that kind of tussle with, you know, with their centre halves, or at least one of their centre halves. But basically, for anything that drops down, that you've got midfielders, runners effectively with him. You don't want him to be too far off where he's isolated, and then he's doing the hard work, and we're not picking up the second balls and the pieces from it. He's going to have someone a bit more closer to him to, you know, to pick up those pieces and you know, have that kind of relationship in some respects. Because to me, at the time, it doesn't look like he's got a relationship with our front, with our midfield and our wingers in some respects at times.
100%. Oh, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, they'll recover well and get everyone up and at it for the run of games we've got after that. Obviously, after we've got Palace in the Carabao quarterfinals. That's going to be an interesting week as well, because they've got a few injuries as well, Palace. So interested to see what kind of lineup they throw out against us. But thanks, Brian. Thanks for your time, mate. Really appreciate it on this Saturday night. So going through that, I was thinking, well, Jesus, is it worth having a chat about just for this? Wow, it was horrible. But we got through 3 points, top of the league. We have probably peed on everyone's chips with the goals that we've scored, both goals being own goals, one of them coming from a set piece, but who cares? We're 5 points clear. But let's see what the rest do, if they can catch up. And we'll go from there. So tomorrow will be interesting to see what Palace do. But thanks, Brian. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for the comments. We'll be back next weekend, maybe Saturday night. It might be a late one. But if not, it will most likely be Sunday. But hopefully having a chat about a good win at Mikel Arteta's old club. And then obviously have a look ahead to the Palace quarterfinal. So thanks a lot, Brian. Take care, mate. All the best to everyone in the group, in the chat. Have a lovely rest of the evening. I know it's late, but have a lovely rest of the evening, and we'll see you all soon. Come on, you Reds.
Newcastle, the central figure again, and he looks to trick Michael.